Be scared and do it anyway. Be underqualified and get in the room anyway. Be imperfect and unsure and show up anyway. You see, our comfort is the enemy of our growth. We must be willing to get uncomfortable and begin to lean into the big vision that we see in order to become all that God has created us to be. Now let's get into it. For the longest time, I secretly wanted more. I often found myself shrinking to fit in, settling for what was comfortable, and even selling myself short. Once I finally accepted that we deserve success and we are blessed with the power to achieve it, I stopped playing small. I'm serious about building a life I love, and you should be too. I'm Denise Taylor of DeniseTaylor.live, and welcome to Embrace Your Power. I help women prioritize themselves, their success, and their happiness. Now let's meet this week's achiever whose story will inspire you to embrace your power and go. Well, hello there. It's Denise Taylor here. And you know, I am always excited to have you join me right here on Embrace Your Power. Now, this is the place where you can count on me to always encourage you to build a life that you love. You see, I believe that God has given us power to do it. In fact, it says in the Bible that He didn't give us fear, He gave us power. And I believe that when we embrace our power, we truly can be, do, have, and achieve anything that we want. Now, my disclaimer is this. I believe that you'll be divinely inspired to go after the things that God wants to do through you. But there's a benefit for you in that experience. I believe that you're going to experience satisfaction and long-lasting fulfillment. And that's going to light you up from the inside out. Now, whether you are watching me on YouTube or maybe you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you are listening, I want you to know that it is an honor for me to be connected with you right here. And if you haven't yet taken time to subscribe, do that now so that we can meet each and every week right here on the same time and place. I want you to know that being connected with you is an honor for me. And I love pouring into your life and helping you to know that whatever you desire to accomplish and do, you can actually make that happen. You can build a life that you love. Now, around these parts, we talk about the success superpowers. And just in case it's your first time tuning in, let me recap them really quick. Success superpower number one is see yourself successful. I believe that you can begin to envision yourself accomplishing and doing the very thing that is going to revolutionize your life and light you up inside. And once you begin to do that, you can move towards that vision that you see. Now, number two is shake off fear. And that's critically important because anytime we're going after the big idea, we may feel fear, but I don't want fear to stop you. I want you to be equipped with strategies and techniques to shake it off. Number three is do the work. We actually have to get busy and put our hand to the plow. We have a promise. God says in His word that He will bless the work of our hands. And so we can do our work in confidence, knowing that a blessing is going to back us up. Number four is take care of you. And that's so important in our journey to pursue that great vision that God has given us. That mantle of greatness is going to be heavy, which means that you need a plan for taking care of you. And finally, hold fast to your faith is number five. And it's number five because it undergirds everything that we are working towards. Our faith is the thing that is going to help us be confident to move forward. Now, my guest today She is going to share just about every superpower when she shares her journey. The vision that God has given her is absolutely incredible. And I so enjoyed talking with Kimberly Evans about her ride share vision, business, and community. You see, I believe that God has given her a vision that is going to ignite such a community and safe place for women to share. And I'm so honored that she joins to share more about her ride share vision that's exclusively for women by women. Now, you're going to hear her unpack a very powerful vision. You're going to hear her share how relationship is so key and important in our quest to accomplish a great work. And finally, you're going to hear how building ourselves up and believing in ourselves is key to bringing visions to pass. And so take a listen, and I'll see you on the other side. So I have to tell you, when I ran across Kimberly, immediately I could see she had so much vision. And one of the reasons that excites me is because vision comes with a promise of prosperity and a promise of redemption. You know, the Bible tells us without vision, we perish. And as a result of the vision that Kimberly has, I know that she is going to not only allow herself to tap into prosperity and into promise, but she is also going to help lead other women to that. And that's what really got me excited. When I heard her share about her vision, I just knew instantly that this was something I wanted to bring to Embrace Your Power so that other people could hear it and be encouraged by it. And so it's my great pleasure to welcome you, Kimberly, to Embrace Your Power. And do us all a favor, introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Denise, for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you. I am Kimberly Evans. I am a servant of others. I am a wife, soon to be on this Wednesday, 26 years. I am a mom of three sons and a grandmother of one. I am also a business owner and entrepreneur. I am the founder and CEO of Just Her Rideshare, where we are a Charlotte, North Carolina based rideshare community of women drivers and riders. And again, I'm so happy to be here with you.
You know, when I met you, your poise rang out so powerfully. I could tell that you had so much incredible experience. And then when I heard you share the vision, I thought to myself that this is an amazing woman that is going to set the world on like notice that we are doing some incredible things. And so, as you talked about Just Her Ride Share, tell us a little bit more about how that came to be this great vision that you're now leading the charge on.
Well, I got to tell you, this was not my first rodeo. I've been a business owner for over 20 years. It's not my first business. I've built other businesses before. I failed at businesses. But I was actually introduced into the space of sort of the rideshare industry. And once I was introduced to this industry, because I had built businesses before, so it was kind of like a business opportunity.
Mhm.
But about 2 weeks into it, as I started to seek God about where I wanted to go with this or what part I wanted to play, He gave me the vision very early on, which was what I was supposed to be doing. And the rideshare was actually going to be a platform or a conduit to getting me to what God really wanted me to do, which was building community with women. And I saw it so crystal clear, Denise, what I was supposed to be doing. So actually, business opportunity turned into what God has now morphed into a community where we're using transportation to provide a solution for women, but also building community with them.
You know, what's incredible is this past weekend, I was at an event, and one of the things that the host of the event said on more than one occasion is that we're moving into a season where business will be a front for ministry, and that we are going to be helping to change lives in many incredible ways, but business is going to be the gateway of that. And when I hear you talk about your vision, it is 100% in line with that, because what you're creating for women, while it does have that opportunity to grow and be prosperous in the business vein, you're talking about changing lives when you talk about community. So go a little bit deeper on that for me.
Absolutely. Listen, marketplace ministry is what my heart's desire is to do. When I started on this journey, I had never raised capital before. My husband and I were always fortunate enough to bootstrap our own businesses. So this was a different space for me. And so when I started having conversations and building relationships with investors, they wanted me to pick a side of the road. It's either altruism or capitalism. And they were more focused on capitalism. But after prayer, I was like, God, we can do both. We can be a for profit company on a mission to build. And that's what it became about marketplace ministry. Because although we're not standing on top of an Empire State Building, hollering, we're for Jesus, it's the work that we do in the community that exemplifies what we're all about, which is ministry. And so that's why it's so important as we're building businesses to consider opportunities to change lives. It can become marketplace ministry. And so I'm super proud that we have made the decision to be a for profit company, but on a mission. And I think that's right where God wants us to be. So.
And how you nestled this whole ride share component around the safety and needs of women is pretty powerful. So go a little deeper with that aspect of the vision, because to me, that's the hook that brings in the women that you're ultimately going to serve, not only as a producer for you, but also a consumer.
Yes. So consider starting out as just a business opportunity, as somebody coming to you saying, hey, this is a great business. How would you like to get involved? To really seeing clearly about how God was going to use that to do other things. As I started to, dive deeper into sort of this issue in the rideshare industry as it concerned women, I found out that there were safety issues. I also found out that while safety was going to be our priority, it was not the only narrative, like because women viewed safety different. And so I said, okay, well then what else can we do? And then it became about how do we provide transportation and then how do we build community? When I started learning of the women who had been impacted by these safety issues, over 40% of women have had to report uncomfortable encounters, including serious sexual crimes and even murder. Having dealt with my own personal issues around feeling safe and comfortable, having lost a friend years ago who was just standing at a bus stop. We had actually partied the weekend before. She went to work that Monday, was standing at a bus stop and was abducted and brutally murdered. They didn't find her murderer for 12 years. So as a young woman, even though it was sort of the pre-rideshare industry era, it left me feeling, vulnerable and unsafe and uncomfortable. And of course, I grew up stranger danger. So, those were other things that we grew up around, not getting into the vehicles with strangers. So getting into this industry, I thought, okay, this was not something that I was interested in doing myself, but I needed it at times when I traveled, when I, had to go places, but I wasn't comfortable doing it. And then after finding out about the safety, I knew that we had to create something that would give women the option to choose how they want to experience riding with others. And when I feel unsafe or uncomfortable, I should have options. So
Mhm.
that's why we decided, one of the reasons why we decided to move forward in building this company.
That's so fantastic. I think about my own experiences, and thankfully, they have not been overwhelming in that sense. But I do think I would feel more secure. I would feel more safe. I would feel more comfortable if I was committed to riding with a woman who was part of a network that was geared towards those being the covenant, like mainstay pillars of that business. And so I think that's one of the things that, as a mom of young adult girls, that makes me feel more comfortable as well. We've adapted some practices, right? When Ubers are involved, or when rideshare is involved, where we're on the phone with one another. We are making sure we're sharing the ride with one another. But I think the added element of this being specifically created for women, created by women, it just adds that special touch. I liken it to, I remember a gynecological visit once where I went, and it was with a Black woman, and she had all of the utensils in a warmer. She made sure the supplies were like perfect in the room. There's just something different when the service provider understands the needs from a different perspective. And that's what I hear you sharing. Now, behind that is the whole community, right?
Yes.
And I know it's still in its infancy, and I know the vision for it is far greater than what's manifested today. But just give us a little bit of what you see when you think of the community behind the business.
Oh, wow. Denise, I got to tell you, it was the one thing that resonated with me so much so because I've always been a connector of dots. I've always served my community. I've served my family. I've served my church. I've served my community. And so it's always been a part of who I am. I always like to say it's really the most organic part of who I am. I was raised to be a servant of others, and I've just adapted it throughout my life. But I got to tell you, what's so important, what's so great about building community and being on a journey to connect women and grow with them and learn from them. I always use the analogy of, say you have two guys in the car, and say he's on the way to the airport. It's very likely they could talk about business, they could talk about the game, they could talk about whatever guys like to talk about. But when you get women together, it encourages the sharing of stories and journeys. We really know how to build community with one another. We know how to take care of our communities. I mean, before we get to the airport, I might know who your grandmom is, who your auntie is, because that's what we do when we're comfortable and we're vulnerable enough to open up. We invite each other in, and that's what really builds community. And so that's super important to me. Our mantra is, we're not just driving women or creating a safe work environment, but we're really building community with them. And we've started to do that in a really wonderful way that's really taking off as well.
That is so powerful. And it's absolutely beautiful. And I really think that in many aspects, that community is going to be the thing that pulls people into the experience, because you're right. Once we can make that connection, once we can really begin to understand and appreciate that valuable connection with one another, that can happen so organically when you are there with someone that looks like you and has experiences like you, it just becomes the glue that continues to bind us. And I think that, to me, is what I found to be so powerful for the vision that you have, and how it's going to just create such a synergy behind the business aspect of it all. And so I just applaud you for stepping out there to kind of make this happen and sticking with it, despite all of the things that you've had to face and learn and do and overcome in this experience. Another thing I wanted to tap into, because your experience from an entrepreneurial standpoint is very similar to mine, where you had a successful and strong career, right? And you've done entrepreneurial things, and you've been in this space, and you've built businesses. But now, I believe, if I'm correct, you've moved into doing this full time now. And so tell us about just your experience, the life of Kimberly, the work experience that you bring to the table that kind of led you to be confident to step out in this way.
Yeah, so it goes back years, years ago. Even as a young girl, just learning entrepreneur. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, but I also come from a long line of family that lost. a lot of businesses and land and things like that. And I knew I found early on on my journey of course building my life and figuring out what I wanted to do, that having the freedom to build and grow, having the freedom to be able to teach my children how to, build legacy wealth, I knew I had to get on a different path than what I was raised around. I grew up humble beginnings. It was really, really, really tough sometimes. I grew up in a home where there was verbal and physical and psychological abuse.
Mhm.
There was instability, and it really taught me to be very strong and to really want something different. So, I mean, I could spend an hour just telling you about the humble beginnings, but I'm so grateful to God. I feel like He snatched me out of a space where I could have gone down a different path. I could have been a teenage mom. I could have been on drugs. I could have been all of that I was exposed to. But he put me on a different path. So I had a little bit of years of working and straddling. So having a little bit of a career or working a job and also learning entrepreneurship. And so I started very early on after spending 21 years at the Postal Service and knowing that that was not where I wanted to end up. Entrepreneurship for me gave me the freedom to be able to create and build something. It gave me the freedom to test, to try out things, to see what I was good at. Because, a lot of times when we're growing, we don't know what it is that we want to do. And so many of us who have the courage to try things and we fail at them, or I like to call them life lessons, then we learn along the way. Entrepreneurship is not easy, it's really tough. I applaud those who get on that path and who stay on that path, who take high risks. So that's what I did. And so I've been on that journey for a really long time. And like I said earlier, I, started years ago in the early 90s with my first business. And I used to say it was my biggest fail. It was an epic fail, but really it was my biggest life lesson
Mhm.
because I learned everything. I learned accounting, I learned distribution, I learned negotiation. I learned so many things, and that put me on a path to where I am today.
Mhm. And so, in your space, I think one of the things that a lot of people who are entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, if I could say it that way, don't have as much exposure to is forging partnerships and gaining investors and making those type of presentations. And so, when you think about how you've navigated and how you've been able to build that network of support for the business itself, help us to understand what that's like to forge those types of relationships.
It is very lonely on this path. It is very lonely as a solopreneur. And one of the things that will help you along the way is being able to build a good network. You often hear people say, 5 people in your network can really determine your net worth. And it's really true in a lot of cases, not always monetary, but just in experiences of learning, opportunities of knowing what you don't know. I surrounded myself around people who knew more than I knew in the space that I was going. And, it was extremely tough in the beginning because I was looking for mentors and people to sort of not necessarily tell me point A to point B what to do, but to help me understand, am I on the right path? Like it feels right. I know that God is telling me, but what do you think about this? What insight do you have? But I got to tell you, building relationships was became the most important part of what I was doing. And I often say that if we shut down today, the people and the relationships that I've built along the way, it's been worth it all because they are lifelong, impactful relationships that you can take not only with this business, but really it's applicable to any other part of your life. And that's what building real relationships are about. If you are on a journey of entrepreneurship, surround yourself by a great network of people who will be honest and open with you, people who will give you honest feedback, and people who will tell you no or tell you that you bumped your head. And so that's what has helped me along the way.
Yeah, one of the things that is pretty signature that I say is that Partnerships accelerate progress, but strategic relationships accelerate success. And that's what I hear you echoing when you start talking about those pertinent relationships that you've been able to forge around yourself to help you be able to navigate that path. I know in my own life, they've made one heck of a difference. And I have
Yes.
seen myself accelerate faster and further because of what it layers in. The unfortunate thing in my past experience is similar to yours, is that we grow up having those traumatic experiences that want to make us feel like we need to do it alone, like we have something to prove. It makes us reject the help that oftentimes we're so tenaciously praying for. And so I really appreciate your testimony because it helps to continue to reiterate the fact that we need relationships, we need partnerships, we need to be open to them. And one of the things that I had to disprove in my head was everybody is not out to get me. There are
Yeah.
people who really want to see me be successful. There are people who are not threatened at all by my shine. And when you find those people, you're so spot on. You got to forge relationship with them, and it will be completely transferable to anything that you're trying to do because they're bought in hook, line, and sinker on helping you be good at what it is God wants to do in your life.
I love hearing you say that, Denise, and you articulate it so well. But you're right. It is, we are raised in some regard to think that, in particular, some people in our community that they're not for us, they're against us, that you need to do this alone, or you can't. In particular, when it comes to women, that you can't trust them, that we're catty, we can't work together and all of that. And I found that to be true in some cases, but I choose not to focus on that because I do believe that God will, when you open yourself up, He will send you the people that you need, and you will know those people who are not supposed to be in the space that you're in now for that season.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally agree, and I absolutely love, love, love seeing people shine. I've never been that girl. I've always been a girl's girl anyway, but I've never been that person that did not want to see my sister win, did not want to see her shine. Listen, we're good at a lot of things, but we're not good at everything. And I love drawing people in that are really, really great at things because I learn from them and I open up and I just let them do their thing, because they add value to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree.
Yeah. And what I get sense from you is something that I've learned in my own journey is that you can have professional success, but there is nothing like the fulfillment that you get when you know you're serving others. Like
Mm,
it is so long lasting. It is so satisfying when you are operating in a way that you truly are being a blessing to someone else. What stands in the way sometimes is fear. And we
yes.
talked about this previously about fear and doubt and imposter syndrome that sometimes rises up. And that doesn't mean because we're winning that we don't have to battle those things. And so when you think about your journey, tell me a little bit about how you've been able to shake off fear.
Oh my goodness. That's such a really great discussion, conversation, because we all battle with fear, right? Everybody has identified with fear at some point in their lives, or maybe just feeling uncomfortable. There may be different levels, but we do battle. We have fear of rejection. We have fear of not doing a great job. And I struggle with fear of not making the right decisions because I was always taught that your decisions can a lot of times determine your season.
Mhm.
And so we know that seasons come and go. And a lot of times we don't know how long it's going to rain or how long it's going to storm. And so when we're going through those seasons, and we're praying through them, we want to get out of those seasons when they're not where we're comfortable.
Mhm.
So I struggled with making the right decisions, and I can remember just going through moments where I was trying to bring people in that could help me grow the company, and it would take me so long to figure out. Like I would court them and date them and have lunch and spend time, and And finally, one morning I was walking during my devotion and I was praying, and God said to me, "Why do you keep asking me for the same thing over and over every day?" And I literally said, Father, because I had that kind of, relationship, that kind of conversation with him, because I don't know the right decision to make. Like, I'm afraid if I make a decision, it's going to not only impact me, but it's going to impact my company, it's going to impact my team. And he simply said to me, "Trust yourself.
Mm,
Like, trust yourself." And I was like, "Okay, but I don't, how do I?" He said, "Because I am with you,
mm,
because you are in my will. So if I am with you and you trust yourself, even if it looks like failure, right? Which I always say are lessons and not failure." He said, "I am with you and you can handle it." And so that was the most powerful thing for me to deal with fear. And then I had another girlfriend. We were having a conversation one day, and she said, "Kim, I just do it scared." And I was like, "Yeah, I do it scared a lot too." And so that's what I do. I'm not saying that I don't ever get fearful or concerned, but I don't let it stop me. I just keep moving, knowing that the power lies within me. That if it doesn't go the way that I want it to go, hey, sis, you can handle it because God's got you. So that makes all the difference in the world for me.
now, I know you hear it. You hear it just like me. You hear so many of the success superpowers ringing through as I am talking to Kim. You see, she has illuminated them in such a way that I believe we have the best example today on how to truly leverage them in our journey. You can hear her talk about how she saw herself successful. You can hear her talk about how she shook off fear. You can hear her talk about doing the work. You can hear how she takes care of herself, and you can hear her faith peppered all the way through. She's a poster child for the success superpowers that I talk about all of the time. But there's one more thing that rings out in Kim's conversation. She talks about the value of getting help. And I have to echo that because I know that forging the right partnerships will absolutely drive for successful progress. But more than that, strategic relationships will always accelerate success. And that is one of the reasons why I want to personally invite you to be a part of Power Play. You see, Power Play is ready for the woman who is ready to make moves, ready to move forward and put the success superpowers to work in your life. Oftentimes, we know exactly what it is we want to accomplish and do. We have goals, we have dreams, and we have visions, but we have a tough time getting out of the starting blocks. Power Play is a 60-day empowerment program that is ready to usher you to starting to bring your vision to life. I would love to be your mentor officially, and enrollment is open right now for the Power Play program. I want to invite you to go to my website and take a look, but I also want to encourage you to lean into your vision so that you can begin to ignite the success superpowers in your life. So visit my website, www.powerplaymentor.live today. Take a look at what can happen if you will simply allow the right person to join your team. I would love to be your mentor officially. So I want to pick back up where you were talking about do it afraid, because I know in your story, while you are helping to build this business, which is truly around a technology platform, that's not necessarily your wheelhouse. And so tell me how you are navigating into what could be an uncharted territory for yourself, building a technology business without a technology background, and how that whole mantra of do it afraid played into that.
Yes. So when I started, obviously as a non-tech founder, I knew one of the things I knew, because I'm kind of from sort of an old school kind of Robert Kiyosaki kind of thing, building great teams around you for the things that you don't know. And so I did have enough wherewithal to at least reach out to the people who had the tech experience. Now, I got to tell you that going into this, I didn't know, and I had no interest in actually becoming a techie, right? But I was forced into this space because the route that I took and the budget that we were on, we had a small team. And so it forced me to have to learn technology. It forced me to have to learn my product. And so I was not comfortable doing that. So there was some fear there, but I had to, again, I had to do it afraid. But yeah, it was very uncharted territory. I was, I always like to say a woman of a certain age when I started. And I was like, who does this at my age? But I gained the confidence once I know, and I'm pretty confident anyway, a pretty confident person. But when I know what I know, I'm super confident. And so once I started to learn, once I started to navigate through that, surrounding people around me that could help me get through this process, then it became more natural for me. It became more I became more confident in sort of walking this journey of technology, because that's what we are. We are a tech company that just happens to use transportation as a mode. But yeah, it was quite interesting in the beginning. Yes.
So I have to commend you. You know, my background is in technology, and that's no small undertaking to walk in and, you know, have to roll up your sleeves and jump in. And so I think one of the things that sits behind that is the determination that you have, right? Your ability to be tenacious and to have that mental mindset that I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to thrust myself into that. In order to have that, though, you do have to fortify yourself with something. You have to begin to feed something into yourself so that you're not depleted. Tell me, how do you build yourself up?
Oh my goodness. So I learned as a young woman, I don't like to say fake and phony, but I played the games. I lived a life what I thought was organic. But after I hit my late 30s, my early 40s, I started showing up as me every single day. I made it a my life's mission was to, yeah, when you were younger and you dressed and you looked great on the outside, but you were living a lie on the inside, which means you were hurting, you were broken, you had dreams and aspirations that you wanted that you couldn't attain. All of the things that we deal with sometimes as young, insecure women. I went through that. But I just started telling myself, listen, I can do this. Like, why would I not be able to? And if I get there and I find that I can't, then I will do something else, But I really, really felt like that I could do this. I felt like, now I got to tell you, Denise, had I seen down the road what all of this was, and I thank God that I didn't, I don't know how I would have moved in the beginning had I seen the whole vision of what it was like building a tech company, raising capital, building a business on this magnitude. I don't know. I'm just going to be very transparent. I don't know if I would have moved forward. I like to think I would have, but it's been really, really difficult. And so I like to think that God didn't show me because he might have thought I would have chickened out. So, yeah, but I just wake up every day and I tell myself, just show up as you, do the very best that you can. Your best is good enough. And, just if it's something that you don't know, be very open and honest about it, and then go find the person who knows, or go find the information to help you get over the hump, and just keep moving forward. I have to tell myself that, because if I don't, I would close up shop, honey, and tuck my tail and run. Okay. So, yeah.
You know, we do have to take our best next step. And I agree with you. I think that if God was to reveal just how great the vision is that he has before each of us, we would wince in a minute. We would go into such defeated thinking. But I think he gives us the ability to develop courage enough to keep moving forward
Yes.
and
Yes.
to develop this resolve that we're problem solvers. We can figure it out, and we have him to rely upon for any area where there's gaps. He's got our back. And I think that that helps us to just realize if I keep moving forward, he will help me in this journey. And
Yeah.
so,
And you know something else, Denise, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but there was one other thing that I wanted to say that was really powerful for me, waking up every day, is the fact that I knew that there were so many women connected to what I was doing, that I felt like I didn't have a choice, like that I couldn't quit, that I couldn't give up, because there was so much connected to the destiny, of what I'm building. And so that's another thing that keeps me going as well.
absolutely, that's powerful, and that's the only thing I was going to summarize with is that the mantle of greatness, it's huge. It's
Mm,
huge and it's heavy too. And it's one of the reasons why developing a really good self-care strategy for yourself is important, because you do carry a heavy mantle with what it is you're looking to pursue and do. And you unpacked it very beautifully by saying there's a lot of people depending on this. There's people
mm,
who are depending on the delivery of this who don't even know they need it now.
mm.
And so I think just continuing to fortify yourself in the ways that you have are going to be incredibly important, because there's still more vision to go after. There's
Yeah.
more for you to accomplish and do. And so thank you for sharing that. Now, I want to ask you this question because your background and experience is so broad. What's the best advice for women who secretly want more? Kind of like what you talked about, who secretly want more, but are struggling to face the fear of believing in themselves. What advice
Oh,
do you have for them?
oh my gosh. I would have to go back to, don't be so set on figuring it out, right? Or having it figured out. Like we get the unique opportunity, when we wake up. God has given us one more day, new life, to be creative and to explore and to open up yourself so that people can experience, the greatness of who you are. I would say just do it. Like don't talk yourself out of it. And I have to go back to, because fear keeps us from doing it. And I have to go back to just doing it scared and trusting yourself to handle it. Many times, we don't move forward in certain, endeavors or situations because we look at well, what if that doesn't work? Well, what if this? What if that? And I stopped saying that because I would say, okay, what if it does? I can handle it. So just know that you can handle it. I would say, I am a strategic planner. You can't plan out everything, but it's good to have some idea of what you want to do or what you think you want to do. And, think about it, pray about it, plan it out, write it out. I believe, I'm a visual person. I believe in writing the vision down and do something toward that every single day. Every single day you wake up and you have new life, do something to move toward that goal, whatever that looks like. And then just be willing to kind of, um, kind of enjoy the journey, I would say, of that whole experience. Whether you get here or whether you don't make it to this level, just enjoy the journey.
Priceless advice. Priceless. So, around these parts, I love to tap into wisdom, and I close out with what I call my life, love, and happiness questions. And so they're pretty simple, but I'd love to hear your experience. So, what's your life wisdom? What would you tell your younger self about life if you could?
I would tell my younger self to, don't put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect.
Mm,
That you are just made in God's image, that you get to, share with people the realness of who you are. They get to let them experience the whole you. When people show up in your space, let them get to experience the gift that God has given and put in you. And just show up as you every day, you know?
So beautiful. Love wisdom. What would you tell your younger self about love if you could?
I would tell myself about love is that love is an emotion. It's also a choice that you can choose to love or you can choose to not love. And I would say choose to love no matter what the situation is. I think that when you put love in it, no matter what it looks like, good, bad, or indifferent, it will bring about what it is that I believe God intended for it to be.
It's beautiful. And then finally, your happiness wisdom. What would you tell your younger self about happiness if you could?
About happiness, I would say I would say don't expect other people to make you happy. Like I lived a life around, I need you to make me happy. Find happiness within yourself
Mhm.
and know that no one else is going to, don't give anybody else that power. Like you are created beautifully and wonderfully made. And so if you dig deep inside and find those things that make you shine, show up, focus on that and don't give anybody else the power to make you happy. Let that come from within who God has made you.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, Kimberly, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I am so glad that God allowed our paths to cross and that you said yes to the invitation to be here and share because this has been a blessing. Tell everyone how they can get connected with you, with her ride share, and anything else that makes sense for them to follow up on your vision.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Denise, thank you so much for having me. This has been a treat and it's been an honor. You are so phenomenal. I've told you before the way that you articulate and share. It's just a gift. It's a gift from God. So you are where you're supposed to be. So thank you for having me. We can be reached on all social media platforms at Just Her Ride. You can follow us, subscribe to our newsletter at justherrideshare.com on the website. And our community platform, Just Her Hub, that is a place where women connect and engage and support one another, as well as our social initiatives. It's not just for our drivers, but it's an open forum. And so we encourage women to be a part of it. We have almost 600 invites on our waiting list and you can get there through community.justherrideshare.com. So,
Okay. And you're still accepting drivers now? How can people plug into that?
yes, we are absolutely accepting drivers. We need more drivers. We were so blessed and so fortunate to have such an influx of interest on the customer side, as well as the driver side. And so we've been onboarding drivers and we need to onboard more and more drivers. So go to the website, learn of how you can become a driver. We have phenomenal promos and incentives going on. We are beating the competitors by so much. So the drivers, not only are they going to work in a safe environment, but they're going to be able to earn a lucrative it's going to be lucrative revenue for them as well. So we want to encourage women, if you're interested, if you just want to earn some extra cash, if you needed to make ends meet, Just Her Rideshare is the place where you can do that.
And what states are you accepting drivers in right now?
So our platform is built nationally, but we've been focusing on North and South Carolina. So we are most of our drivers are in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the metro areas, but we are in nine cities. I'm sorry, in North and South Carolina. So if you're near the Columbia or Greenville, Charleston area, look us up. We've got drivers that we're signing up there, and of course, if you're in Charlotte, the surrounding areas and in Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, those areas as well. We're also signing up drivers.
That's so phenomenal. I am so excited for where you are now. I really truly believe in a year, we're going to be talking about double, triple, if not four times that, because this is such a powerful network that you're creating, centered around making sure that women are supported and safe. And that is critically important. And I just want to close out by saying, Kimberly, success looks so good on you.
Oh, thank you so much, Denise. I'm so happy I received that. And we will circle back again and give you an update on what's going on with Just Her Right here.
So I have to tell you, I am so proud and impressed by Kim all at the same time. Having the courage to go after your dreams and your visions is incredible. And seeing her walk it out, regardless of all the obstacles that I know she has faced for the call to serve others, I have to tell you, that's a God thing. Many of us have dreams on the inside of us, things that we secretly want to achieve. Now, the biggest question is this: are you going to give yourself a fighting chance to go for it? Or are we going to continue to make excuses why we have to delay what it is that we really want? I love the fact that Kim is going after her dream. I love the fact that she is working to be a blessing to other women. I love the fact that she is creating a business front to ministry because she is going to touch women in a way where they will forever be changed. But here's my big question for you. You have a vision and goal too. You have things that you want to accomplish and do as well. I want you to lean into that. We're in a brand new year, and it's time for you to truly begin to build a life that you love. But what's standing in the way? What's standing in the way of you truly beginning to build that life? And how would it feel? How would it feel for you to finally bet on yourself? To stop making excuses as to why you can't proceed and start asking yourself, how can I make it happen? The one powerful nugget that Kim reiterated time and time again was the necessity to forge relationships to help accelerate her success. Those relationships are so key. I have my own testimony of how they've accelerated my life, how bringing the right partners into my life has allowed me to show up and experience more success more quickly. But here's the thing for you. If you're still going it alone, if you're still trying to figure out how to navigate, what I would suggest is that you stop running away from help, that you stop thinking you have to do it alone or that you have to figure it out on your own, and bring people to the table that can help you achieve more faster. This is one of the reasons why I am so excited about Power Play. It is a program that will absolutely allow you to step into your success with support and help that will make a difference. You see, seeing ourselves successful is so critically important. Shaking off fear is important as well. Doing the work is a vital part of the journey. Taking care of you is just as critical as the vision itself, and holding fast to your faith is important. But I will tell you, all of that accelerates quickly when you've got the right person on your team. So how would things change for you if you forged a partnership to bring your vision for your best life to pass? How would it change for you? How would you feel to finally be moving forward towards the life that you desire? How would it feel? How would things change if you finally had the opportunity to work towards the things that you secretly want to accomplish? I know what it's like to hide in plain sight. I know what it's like to go through the motions. And I also know what it's like to finally say yes to help that can make a difference. And so I want to invite you to go and visit my website. Visit it today so that you can be a part of this next cohort of Power Play. It's where I get a chance to personally be your mentor and help you navigate your success journey with the right partner that will make a difference in your life. So let's get connected and let's partner together for your success. And I'll see you next time. Well, that's it, beautiful. Thank you for tuning in. Don't ever forget that you are truly blessed with life, love, and all the happiness your heart can hold. Be relentless in building a life you love without apology. I'm Denise Taylor, and you can always find me in our free Facebook community. It's Embrace Your Power, easy to find. Now be sure to rate and review this podcast and share it with a friend. And make sure you subscribe so that we can stay connected each week. And remember, God has not given us a spirit of fear. He gave us power. So be sure to always embrace your power and go.